Yeah, isn't that kind of put the year in perspective a little bit? So many things happened. Anyway, hope you enjoyed, and we're going to have another great year. But first, Sunday school. Children, you're all dismissed. Have a wonderful time, and thank you for all the Sunday school teachers. So we do this once a year where we give a message together. And I think once a year it's valuable to reflect on the previous year and all the things that happened and all the intentions and goals that we set, and look forward to a new year and what we hope to accomplish in the new year. So I'd like to start with a quote from our founder, Reverend Moon. He said, "God is the father of mankind and is always trying to benefit man. And whatever God wants should be the goal of all mankind. There should be no difference between them. When one goal is pursued by God and man together, all will dwell in harmony."
I really like that quote. I'm actually going to go back to it real quick. I really feel like that is kind of encapsulates the heart of our desire of what we want to do in our community, to live for God, to bring joy to God, and acknowledge how much God is working in our lives and trying to give us inspiration, to heal us, to raise us up. And that when we're in tune with God and we recognize what God is doing in our life, then there's a sense of harmony. It's not me just struggling, but that together we're working towards the same purpose. And so that kind of sets the stage for what we're doing, what we have been doing, what we hope to continue to do. So first we're going to just recap this past year by first looking at what were the goals we set at the beginning of 2023 and how did that go. So just our 2023, these were the goals that we had set out at the beginning of last year. It didn't encapsulate the totality of everything that we did, but that was our focus. And our goals were to find a YAMI leader, to renovate the current parsonage for YAMI, so begin to develop our YAMI, Young Adult Mentorship Initiative, more, to buy a new parsonage, and actually these are all very intertwined and connected, because buying a new parsonage for our family allowed us to move out of the old parsonage, which then became the new YAMI house and allowed us to grow YAMI, which also allowed us to free up more space in our rental units for new families. So all of those things were kind of connected. Also, to make substantial progress on the exterior renovation plan, which we've had set for a number of years, to continue to grow and develop Heartland Academy and many renovations, including the fourplex across the street. So I'm just going to cover our first couple of goals and then pass it over to Mike. Our first goal was to find a YAMI leader and to renovate the current parsonage. So you can see who it is. Elvis, I love your smile always. We really felt like that, when we began YAMI, our Young Adult Mentorship Initiative, we didn't even have the name for it yet. We just knew that we had a bit of a gap in our community of these young adults. We had so many amazing young families and children and supportive older members, but these young adults who maybe aren't married yet, don't have children yet, but are looking for what they want to do in their lives, we didn't have so many of them. And it's something that was missing, because these are the type of people that our high schoolers and our young people are so inspired by and really look up to and are really great role models. And we also felt like that we have something to offer to this age group. We have so many younger members and young parents who kind of are models of what the next stage of life would look like if we had these young adults. And not a lot of communities have that. So we felt like we really have something to offer. And there's something that we could really gain from building up that group. So that was an intention. And we also, so we had begun with just a few, like 3 young people who were like, let's do it. They all moved from other places to become part of it, and went through many ups and downs and challenges, figuring out how to live together, how to bring purpose to their lives and to the community. And one thing that we realized was that we needed one kind of person to be the central point, or to be the person who coordinates, the person who lets us as pastors know how things are going. So Elvis volunteered to give it a try. So let's give him a round of applause. And we did a lot of work leading up to moving out, and even since they've moved in, we've continued renovations, but creating a more beautiful living environment for them. And I really appreciate them. They do a good job of keeping it clean over there. You would think a bunch of young guys living in a house might be kind of bachelor pad or something like that, but it's nice. Anissa does a lot to make it beautiful, but it's a really nice environment. We did a lot of unseen work too. Our washer kept backing up and flooding the basement, so this was fixing that. And as part of this whole process of getting the parsonage and moving, this allowed Maria and Genti's family to move into the vacated space at the fourplex, and allow them to become part of our community and bring their joy and their energy and new babies. So that was a kind of a result of that as well. Also connected, buying a new parsonage. So at the beginning of last year, actually right before the new year started, Mike said, I think we need a new house. And I was like, that's a big goal. What do you mean? But a little bit felt self-conscious, like a new house for our family. We're here to serve the community. But really, it was part of a larger picture for one thing, it helps us to feel more settled and really comfortable and feeling like we can continue to develop our family, and we feel really invested in the community. But us moving out of that space allowed so much more to happen in the community too. So we went on a big house hunt, and a lot of prayers, a lot of energy invested to get a house within walking distance of the church, and that was affordable, and that would fit our family, and that had a fireplace. So all of those things managed to come together. It was really miraculous and special.
Actually, the timing really couldn't have been better on that, because it came at a time where interest rates had gone up, so banks were less willing to give loans, and we weren't able to get a loan. But fortunately, we found a house that, even though it needed work, was barely within our ability to afford. But even since then, the situation has changed so much. Just this morning, I got because I get updates from realtors and stuff since we were looking before, and there was a house that sold about 6 blocks from here. There's 4 bedrooms, similar to ours, 2 upstairs and the other 2 downstairs, and it had heating pipes going through the basement and everything. 1.5 bathrooms, and it sold for $1 million. So,
and ours is renovated more nicely than that one is.
Getting there. So it was a big financial decision. We're really grateful for our finance ministry for really helping to make sure that we did that in the right way, and our council for really going through this very stressful process together with us and helping us to make it happen. But then on top of all of that, I feel like it was also a very sound decision. We don't have any debt from it, and it's a property that will continue to serve us as we fix it up and it grows in value. In the future, we may decide to do something different with it, and it will be an asset for us.
That's the end of my point.
Yes. Okay. So, and as many of you know, we made this plan in 2018, and we made almost no progress with it, and COVID hit, and it was very difficult to see whether this, we spent all this time, so many hours working together with our team, with Sherwood, with Mira, with Joelle, and us, and I hope I'm not leaving anyone out, but to really come up with a plan and to present the plan in a way where we could all feel good about, like, oh yeah, if we could renovate the church and it would look like this, then that would be inspiring for us, and it would be inspiring for our neighborhood, and it would allow us to feel more pride in our church. And functionally doesn't change anything, but it gives us a building that we feel is kind of more of is reflective of what we see as beauty in the people in our community, and also something that we hope that people, when they walk by or they drive by, they're like, oh wow, that's such a nice church. You can really tell that the people of that church love their church and want it to look nice, and I would like to go check that out one day. It's our hope. So it's a big project though, and it didn't help that during COVID, construction prices soared and supplies soared, and it became, many things doubled. The cost to stucco the building doubled. So, we've had to really look at.
The week before everything shut down in COVID, headquarters had promised us $50,000 towards this.
Which was our money.
And then it didn't happen.
But we did, yeah, that's true. No, we never got that money. Oh, that's right, yeah. Yeah, that's true. They wanted to support us, but then it didn't happen. But the desire was there. They just had their own problems. But little by little, we've been, trying to find new contractors, trying to find ways to get things done. As always, trying to do a lot with a little, feels like the theme of our life. But we haven't given up on the plan. So this year, because Ihor was here, Eugene's cousin, and he doesn't speak almost any English, but he's got 10 years of construction experience. And we needed a construction worker who was willing to, work with us on price, and he needed money to bring his wife and son from Ukraine. It was and he was living next door at the time, so that was really a win-win. He worked really hard. I mean, you don't know. You should have seen this guy. I mean, I was talking with contractors, and they were like, "Yeah, we got to rent one of these, cherry picker type things that, it's like a big machine that lifts you up, and it costs like $500 a day to rent." And he was like, he just climbed up there and just started pulling up buckets of concrete with his bare hands. I mean, it was crazy. But yeah, Serge was working with him, and they really got a lot done before the cold weather hit. And it doesn't look like much now, but these are like the necessary steps to get us to where, to this final step, which granted is still a little ways away, but we're making progress towards it. I'm excited for when we are able to get it done. And this year, we'll talk about this year later. Yeah.
Okay. Another one of our goals was to continue to grow and develop Heartland Academy. And I felt like that providing a school environment for those who want it is really valuable for families, and creates a healthy, positive place for children to learn and grow themselves when it's a very difficult environment in most school settings. And so we've been making slow progress and really kind of solidifying the school. The first couple of years were really just like going on faith and hoping that it worked out. And this year really feels like we're establishing. And so we've grown in numbers. This is some of our elementary studio doing Just Dance, and our Spark studio with their Thanksgiving meal. Not everybody's in there, but we feel really good about the progress of it. And also really want to appreciate Dr. Hentrick. Twice a week he comes after school and gives spiritual education classes, and that's something that's also available to the participants of our school, where even though the school is not a church school, I really feel the values complement our church values, and then Dr. Hentrick can also give that kind of like really pointed, specific spiritual education too. So he's been doing that since before the school started. The last 4 years he's been doing it twice a week. So really, he's such a blessing to our young people. Yeah, and we're going to continue to grow in the future, but I'll pass it back to Mike.
And something that wasn't maybe specifically stated in our goals when we did this last year was youth ministry. We really wanted, last year was the first time that we actually took on a part-time youth. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, so and then these are some, as you saw in the video, you saw already many pictures in the video of renovations, but it was, as always, it seems like every year we do a lot of renovations. Actually, one of our goals this year is to do less renovations. That would be really great. but it does seem to always kind of be a thing. And the Sunday school youth ministry, they did such a nice job. Anissa and her team did such a nice job improving the 13 plus room, making it really like, for a while it was a kind of a shared room with our French ministry and Sunday school, but we haven't had French ministry in a long time, so now it's fully a Sunday school room. And we also did put a lot of effort into converting a playroom downstairs into a prayer room. So now people have a designated place or a specific place they can go. The really nice atmosphere. There's always music in there. It's clean. It's nice atmosphere. You light the candles and you just offer your prayers to God. And I'm glad that we can have a place like that. And Anissa was a big part of making that happen as well. And we did work over at the Fourplex and during the Spring Refresh. We did a lot of things kind of all over the place, but we're starting to get to the point where we've done most of the indoor improvements and we're starting to fix some of the outdoor stuff as well. And the school, they use this classroom for their preschool and lower elementary, so they put a lot of effort into improving and making it really nice. And a new play area instead of a storage area at the back of the dining room. It's been that way for years. And that's just a little bit. We didn't want to dwell on that too much. One of the other things I wanted to talk a little bit about was the youth ministry. As I mentioned before, Anissa's been doing it as a volunteer. She did it as a volunteer for 2 years. And, the amount of effort and time, and she doesn't just invest into, the children, but she invests into the families, and she invests into the moms, and she invests into the people who are investing into the kids, and it's like a whole package. And she's worked so hard, and this year we were able to hire her part-time, and it's enabled her to be able to dedicate more of her time, which she's already doing anyway. She's going to keep doing it, but I feel grateful that our community can compensate her in some way for the work that she's putting in, because youth ministry is like, the way I see it in a church, there are certain core ministries that are really important for long-term success of a church. One is family care, and another is youth ministry. And we have more children than adults in our church. So it seems fair, and also thinking long term, that we need to invest a lot into the children if we want to have a bright future. And Anissa has done that in spades, and her team. And the cool thing about it is that it's not just her doing everything. She's created this really amazing team of young people that's actually always bringing in more people too. And so they're able to share the load together, and also expanding beyond just their 13 and up group, but also recently they've started to deciding, well, we need a comprehensive youth ministry for all ages. Like, they should have a consistent experience. They should have graduations, like from one class to the next class, which we haven't been doing. Up until now, like once you turn that age, like when you turn 9, you go to the 9-year-old class. You turn 13, you go to the 13 and up class. But they're always thinking, well, how can we make the experience better for the kids? How can we make it more meaningful? How can we make it more special? So that's something that, anyway, we'll talk a little bit more about that. When we're stretched too thin, when we're involved in too many things, stuff like that doesn't happen. So here she was just Anissa was presenting to parents about what they've developed over the last 3 years, what they've been doing, which includes, one-on-one sharings, older youth mentoring the younger youth, holding workshops for the younger children, workshops, Sunday school, like expectations and curriculum going forward. And it was for me, I was really inspired. I was like, man, everyone should see this. But we don't need to toot our horn. We just need to do the important work. So yeah, here's a picture from the 9 to 12 retreats. We did 2 of those this year, and that was totally grassroots too. That was just some parents coming together and being like, hey, we should do some retreats for the 9 to 12-year-olds, and they ended up doing 2 of them. And I don't know. I think everyone had a great time. My daughter had a wonderful time, and hoping that those can continue. And this is a photo from Camp Journey, also something that our community and Anissa and a youth ministry team invested an incredible amount of energy to create a kind of experience that our kids can go to and feel like, oh, this is who God is. This is what God's kingdom feels like. Maybe I don't get a chance to experience this all the time. Maybe I don't even get to experience this in my family, but I can experience it in, this moment. And that's important for us to have that experience.
So it was funny, when we were preparing this message, we were looking at our goals that we had set out the last year, and in our minds, the youth ministry was a goal we had set, but we couldn't find it anywhere in our slides or anything, so I guess we hadn't set it, but we will claim it as a victory for the last year, along with the progress on the other goals we made. Before we go into our goals for this year, 2024, something that we did was we've been making effort to get feedback from the community. We've been talking with people to just hear personally how it's been going, what they hope to see. We sent out the survey. This is if you haven't filled it out and you want to, do it today. And we really want to take that into consideration as we plan for the year. Oh, we have other honorable mentions. All right, before we go into our goals for the year, I'll let Mike go over these.
Yeah, we didn't want to leave anything out, and if we did, we're incredibly sorry. But we just wanted to mention certain things that happened last year that are important to our community, but maybe they don't have pictures. Maybe they don't, aren't so flashy or whatever. But these are the little things that require a lot of effort from certain people, but maybe weren't so obvious. And one of them is our elders group. They meet every week, and they discuss, well, how can we support the community better? How can we support the work that Mike and Adonia is doing better? Date nights came out of that. The Golden Age luncheons came out of that. And they're always looking for what they can do. Even the other day, they reached out to us and said, you guys are going on your sabbatical later this summer. What can we do to support that? So it's really affirming for us, and we just feel so grateful to know that there's other people who are thinking about how to make the community grow and successful, and we're all working together. It's not us trying to make things happen that other people don't want. Everyone wants the same thing. And even our elders who've invested already so many years and been through so much, they still want to help. That's beautiful. Also, we had annual marriage course, and Gilo and Casio running that, and they do it every year. And every year we have new people, or those people recommend it to the next group of people. And it's just something consistent that we can offer as a community to people that enriches and helps support their marriages, which is so important. We had our Divine Principle workshop with Joe Young. He came, and that was, kind of a yummy workshop, but also many other people participated. It was open to our community, open to the general public, and I personally really enjoyed it, and Pastor Joe Young as well, and really hoping that they will take the leap and come and become a part of our community in the near future. Working on it. We had a grandparenting seminar with Miss Myrna LaPrey. It was a whole year ago, so you may not remember, but that was also really great too. Glad that she could come. We received a grant. We applied for and received a grant. Justina was a big help in helping to make that happen for $30,000 from the Department of Homeland Security, so that we can, make some improvements on our church. We don't have a security system. We don't have any kind of an entry access system except for some keys and a little pin pad on one of the doors. And so, unfortunately, we don't live in the safest neighborhood. And so, but it always seemed a little hard to just spend our money to do these things. But because we got the grant, we're able to improve some of these things, which will hopefully help, for all of you to feel safer when you're here at night or early in the morning to pray, or we're having a sleepover at the church, people can feel safer. That's important. And then we had our visit from Dr. Young and headquarters staff. That was an experience. And we had a large group, or for us, so we had a large group go to Las Vegas to meet with True Mother. And that's, we're not going to have that many experiences like that. She doesn't come from Korea that often, and we don't get the chance to just meet her face to face. So I think that for everybody who was able to go, it was a very meaningful experience, and glad that we could be a part of that. We're really grateful for the council's support. At one point, I think earlier in the year, we get a bit of a rough patch, and council really stepped in to find guest speakers who would speak once a month to help us with sermons, one less thing that we had to worry about, and also just to help with security improvements, whatever we needed help with. And we saw a 7% increase Sunday service attendance, and we also we could have ongoing interfaith activities in Grand Junction because of the Alvish family, ongoing evangelism activities in Denver, and Dr. Hendrick has consistently kept doing his online DP Bible study, and I'm sure that the people who participate in that really value it. And it's just another thing that our community can offer.
All right, so that is the final recap of last year. As I was mentioning before, we've been really looking to get feedback from the community and really kind of ground ourselves and think, what is the next year going to look like? What is God hoping for the next year? What is on the hearts of our families and our members of what would be most beneficial to see in the next year? And before I go into just what are the goals or like the bullet points, what it comes out of is that this desire to find out what is needed in order to help our community really become like a model community that embodies a heavenly culture that God is excited to be a part of, that when he looks at us and our families and the things that we're doing, then there's joy for God. And I think when God looks at the world, there's many things that bring God sorrow or pain, or it's difficult to see. There's pain in families, there's pain in countries, but what can we do where we're like a warm spot of light, and that God really feels like he can dwell with us? So that's really like the motivation. And I think every year our goals look a little different. Last year our goals were very kind of practical. Buy a new parsonage and do these renovations. But it's not really separate from the goals from this year, because all of it is to move towards becoming this kind of like a thriving community, a community where people are happy to come to church. The children get excited to be here. We feel that we're all contributing something in our own ways to something that's greater. So we found this quote from Reverend Moon, which I feel like embodies this spirit. On the path of life, our final goal should be to possess God's love. Whatever we have, our mind drives us to continue seeking something higher. Even if we possess the whole world, since God is in a still higher place, we would want to possess God too. But even if we were to possess God, we would lose him if we failed to possess his love. Winning God's love has nothing to do with external talents or skills. Anyone can become a son or daughter of God and possess God's love if only they follow the right way. In the end, the best life is a life by which we become God's son and daughters. So I feel like this is really all the goals that we make, all the things that we do are really intrinsically connected to becoming God's children, discovering God as our parent, expressing that in the things that we do in our life, in the projects, in our endeavors.
Yes, so 2024. One of the things that after 9 years of pastoring, one of the things that we came to understand pretty deeply last year was that we can only do so much by ourselves and by our own efforts. And oftentimes we take on more than we should, and we stretch ourselves too thin. And because of that, we're not able to be effective in the things that we're investing into. Maybe we can be effective in some things, but in other areas that are important, we're just kind of we're not really providing the attention and energy and care that really requires for that thing to be successful. So one of the things that we really feel this year that we need to do is to learn to delegate and share responsibility better. That also is because we are going on a 2-month sabbatical in June, and we're going to be gone for 2 months, and we have to, we're kind of in a situation where we have to make preparations. We have to prepare well. We have to share responsibility. Otherwise, things just won't happen. So, but beyond that, not just those maybe practical responsibilities or giving sermons, but there's certain things that we feel are important in our community that aren't getting the care and attention that they deserve. And so one of our goals this year is to develop a stronger core ministry team and to delegate better. And there's 3 particular areas that we want to focus on this year as things that as ministries that we feel if we could strengthen these ministries somehow, it would really be a support for us, but also just for the whole community as a whole. So the first one is a family and couple ministry leader. So family and couple care is a really big deal, and it requires a lot of consistency and also like just a heart to want to do it. Like you have to, it has to be something you really want to do. And we've been able to do the date nights because of the elders groups, and because of Gilo and Kazuo, we've had the marriage course, and we try in our sermons to really talk about relationships and what it takes to overcome. Like even for us, like when we're going through a rough patch, we try to share like, well, how did we overcome, or like what are some things that we really rooted ourselves in that helped us to become successful as a couple. These are like critical things, and I think that we've tried our best, but we haven't been able to really devote the time and energy to really doing this. And we have many people in our community that care about couple care, but not in a really devoted, dedicated way. And
yes, somebody who can really spend time with individual couples, individual families, or just individuals. I think our efforts are really in creating like a positive environment and resources that are available and sharing our testimony. And we do spend a lot of time sharing one-on-one or hearing stories or mediating, but it's just scratching the surface of what's needed.
Also, in the last couple of years, one thing that we've noticed is that when we find capable, good people to lead a ministry, like Chelsea leading the music ministry, or Anissa leading the youth ministry, magic happens. Like people come around, they want to be a part of it. Maybe most people don't want to lead something and be responsible for something, but they want to help. They're happy to help. And that's what we've seen with those teams. And because they've had that like organicness, then they're able to do a lot.
It's just so much better than what we could do if we were trying to do it ourselves. I mean, I kind of led music ministry for a little bit, and Chelsea just does such a better job. And yeah, when the right person shows up, it like blossoms.
Yeah. So one of our goals this year is to find a family couple ministry leader, or leaders. Could be a couple that wants to do it. So on all these things, we're already actively working on it. And we have plan A's, we have plan B's, we have people we're I guess for lack of a better word, recruiting from other communities or from other places that we are good friends with. And we're like, hey, we would love to have you as part of our community. Our community has this to offer. You have this to offer. Let's work together. Let's build something amazing. And that's kind of the angle we're going with it. And, we hope to share some positive developments with that as the year goes by, and but we also know that nothing is guaranteed, and we may have to go with Plan B or Plan C. But this is something we've come to recognize as important for the year, and we will be working towards it. The next one is a property manager. When we bought the when we started renovating the fourplex and we bought the new parsonage, I kind of took on the job of being property manager, partly to save money, mostly to save money, and also because I wanted it done a certain way, to be honest. And that's fine. That saved us a lot of money, but it's just not really sustainable. I do enjoy it, most of it, but it's just not sustainable. So for the fourplex and for the fourplex and the Yami house, I'm looking to find somebody who can take that on as kind of a part-time kind of thing as well. And then hopefully I'll probably have to do some training, but something I don't have to worry about anymore. And then next is we want to find a small group / education ministry leader. And so one of the other things that is really necessary for communities is for people to be getting together outside of church. Not just getting together, of course any kind of gathering is generally good, birthday parties, baby showers, barbecues, but also really getting together in a way that helps us to dive deeper into our faith, to have deep conversations about life. And they don't spring up automatically. And frankly speaking, we just don't really have a lot of experience with small groups. It wasn't a part of our life growing up, So we're also actively working on this as well, to bring in a couple or an individual who really has a passion for this. And so that's in the works, and I hope to be able to share good news on that as well soon. That's yours.
Okay. Our second goal for 2024 is to continue to develop Yami, especially their focus and purpose. I think it's really amazing where we've come from. Just 2 years ago, we had Yoshi and Linako and Elisa come, and Yoshi's the only one who's left, but he's sticking it out. The original OG Yami. And they really just came on faith and with like a desire to do something different, and their being willing to do that created an opportunity, and we've been developing on that. But as we continue to go forward, we want to help hone in for our young adults. Why are they here? What can they contribute, and what can they get out of it? And really maybe more focus in what specific things can they do to be integrated into our community and help our young people. And also on our side, what specific things do we have to offer? We can be more clear on what kind of mentorship we can provide, what kind of examples or from young couples or young professionals, setting aside times to really give their tools and their resources and their experiences for them. So we're going to be spending some time to really kind of go through conversations, have the meetings, or provide the structure that's needed to really they've been like on an experimental journey so far, but we really want to help that become solidified and something that's really inspiring for them in the community, and that's just exciting for other young people to come and join.
Yeah, we want them to be thriving. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Also, just I missed one point on the first group of points there, is that ideally we'd like to be able to offer some compensation to these people. Property managers, kind of a given, they typically get some percentage of the rent. But for the small groups education leader and a family care couple ministry leader, I really want to be able to offer some compensation so that they can really feel free to devote the time and energy to be successful and to feel like they're being compensated for their efforts. That won't be possible as things are right now. Like, we just don't have the extra funds with our current tithing level. And if that's the way it is, then that's the way it'll be. And I'll just, you have to start from somewhere. And when we're making these plans, I'll just say, look, it's a volunteer for now, but with a plan that eventually we'll work towards being part-time and someday full-time. But if we can increase our tithing, even 10% or something like that, then we can offer them something, even if it's something small like $500 a month or something like that. I'd like to be able to offer more, but it's a fixed expense, so it really depends on tithing. And so if you're able to support us in that way, it would be huge for this particular purpose. Otherwise, we just have to rely on the volunteerism, and that can work sometimes, but it's a lot harder than you think.
All right. Goal number 3 is to develop a comprehensive youth ministry through all ages. So we've shared a lot about Anissa, and she's really taken on 13 and up, but something that we've felt through our conversations with people, and as we look at our community, and we have so many amazing children and even babies that are growing up through the ages, and we're really so grateful for all of the volunteers who do Sunday school, and where we've even come in the last 3 years. When COVID hit, we were down to basically nothing. Julie isn't here today, but Julie would come and she would say, I can do arts and crafts. And all the kids of all ages would go to her and just do arts and crafts during Sunday service. And we were just so grateful because we had nothing else. So we've because of so many people's generosity and care for young people, we've redeveloped, again, our preschool Sunday school, 5 to 8 and 9 to 12. But even so, it's just been based on individual efforts, or somebody says, hey, I want to do this for the young people, but there hasn't been an overall vision that connects all the different age groups. And like Mike said, having a graduation ceremony from one class into the next, and there being continual themes, and really feeling like that it actually, young people feel it when there's investment into them, and they see the preparation and the care. They may not automatically, logically think like, oh, I'm cared for. They're really thinking about my future, the young people, but they feel it very clearly. And when it's a little bit disjointed or it's a little bit chaotic, that also sits with them, and they can feel that there's something missing. So we want to fill in those gaps. And we want to work this year to connect all the different ages, create the themes, create the continuity and the purpose for our young people. And a big part of that is also potentially finding a youth ministry coordinator for all the ages that would also hopefully be able to pay something.
Currently, Mira is doing it.
Yeah, right now, actually, Mira Fleischer has stepped in to do a lot of the organization and the admin stuff behind it, and a lot is already happening just out of her sincere desire. But she's in between jobs right now, so she has that time. But when she goes back to work, it's going to be different. So we're going to need to find somebody.
And as always, no surprise, we will continue to do renovations. And we want to make, even if it's a small step, we want to make another step to our exterior renovation. We're hoping this year to do the stonework on the edges, the corners of the building and the pillars. And if we can even get that done, I'll be happy. And then there's just a lot of work that needs to be done. We got the grant for the security improvements, but that's just giving us the money. We have to find contractors, and inevitably there'll be some work that we need to do on our own. We want to improve things at the fourplex. We want to create like a better quality of life for all the families who are living there. I'm really hoping this year we can paint a couple of our buildings because they're looking a bit
unpainted.
aged. It's a good word. Do I have that written down somewhere? Yeah, hopefully even maybe we'll get those solar panels in this year. Who knows? It's been a long process as well. Also, one of the things that's come up in some of the feedback we've been getting from people, and I believe that there was also a survey response as well, is that there's the kitchen and our bathrooms need more attention, and it's true, they do. So this year we'll try to we'll make that a priority instead of doing other improvements we'll make that a priority to redo some of our kitchen. Little by little over the last 5 or 6 years, we've been replacing appliances. We've been taking out cupboards. We've been putting in stainless steel things. We put in the sprayer and all this stuff. But the floor is in pretty bad shape. The walls are in really bad shape, and it just doesn't feel sanitary. The bathrooms as well. Especially the grout lines, we're hoping to replace those this year as well. So they will happen, and we're going to make that a priority this year. And then, of course, there's always a million other things as well. We have 4, kind of older buildings. A couple of them are almost 100 years old. So they require a certain amount of, not just maintenance, but we want to be ahead and make sure that they're nice and comfortable. And I'll be inevitably doing some of that. And David, too. David's always working hard to take care of our buildings as well. That's 2024. These are our goals for 2024.
Yeah, these are the outline goals. We're excited to, at the end of this year, to see where we've come in terms of these goals. And also all the other things that are going to happen. When we watch the recap video, there's just so much that happens in 1 year. We were talking about how when Joe Young came and did his Divine Principle workshop, it felt like it was such a long time ago. It was really only the end of October. It was like 3 months ago. And so much has happened even just since then. So we know this year is going to be just filled with excitement and wonderful experiences, and hopefully deeper connection and sharing among all of our community members. And our final quote to finish up, which we feel is a good, kind of solid end to it, is to commit your works to the Lord, and your plans will be established, which just goes back to the very first quote that we had, that when one goal is pursued by God and man together, all will dwell in harmony. So, these are our goals that we're setting for our community. We know that you also have things on your heart, and you might have specific goals for your life or for your relationships, and what you are hoping to see in your life. And I hope that in our giving this message, I hope it doesn't feel separate from what's on your heart and what's in your life. I hope that the goals that we're making and the efforts that we do as a community also support the things that are on your heart, and that all together we commit our works to the Lord, our plans will be established, and that we can all dwell in harmony together with the same purpose. I think that's it. Thank you so much, everybody. Okay. Please join me in prayer. Heavenly Parent, thank you so much for this day, beginning of a new year, for all of your children who were able to come today from different parts of the state and in Denver. We are grateful that we're here, that we are alive, and we're beginning this year. And even though we can't say for sure what this year will hold for us and what experiences we might have, what wonderful surprises lie in store for us, also what challenges might pop up. But I pray that whatever comes, that we can commit to planting good seeds and investing into the things that are important to us and that are important to you. Because if we water those seeds, and if we make that care and investment of our time and our money and our effort, that good inevitably will come out of it. And we can, when we come back together at the end of this year, we can, as a whole, be proud of what we did together with you, Heavenly Parent. So we invite you to be with us. Please be part of our lives. We want to offer our goals to you, make them together with you. And we also offer this day to you and this service. And I pray this in my name, Michael and Adonia Hentrick, a blessed family. Amen and adieu. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.